Hello there, people of the internet. Today we are out here talking about my Model 38, the M38 Carcano, chambered in 7.35 Carcano. This right here is a hard rifle to find ammunition for. That being said, I'm a reloader, and the ammunition I have out here has been slightly undercharged, so whenever we send lead downrange, it's not going to be quite as powerful as it normally would be. I do that to help preserve brass, because brass for this is very, very difficult to find as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm going through all of the things inside of my arsenal, and I'm showing off a bunch of them in hopes of earning my way up to 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to help me get there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to put one of these out every single day. So if today does not get you, hopefully tomorrow will. That being said, let's look at the M38 Carcano. So you got to understand what was going on during the time period whenever this right here was well, being adopted and introduced and being, what's the word I'm looking for, put into service in the Italian military. So the M38 was ultimately adopted in 1938, with the Italians trying to move up from their 6.5 Carcano round up to a 7.35 Carcano round, an exact 30 caliber round at 0.300 inches. That is a exact 30 caliber round, as opposed to like the 7.62 at 308 diameter, or 311 or 312, depending on the sources that you read. So the Italians were looking to get themselves a 30 caliber round. Now at the same time, this right here was a infantry rifle they were hoping to give to all of their infantry soldiers. On top of adopting a more powerful round than their 6.5 round, they saw soldiers that had long rifles, and soldiers that had carbines, and soldiers that had this rifle and that rifle and this other rifle, and it was just a logistical mess. For example, this right here is what Troop Special, this is their Troop Special rifle, and this is what their special troops were using, meaning people not necessarily on the front line. So the soldiers, the standard infantry on the front line, had their 1891 pattern, and then the Troop Specials had this pattern, and then you had the cavalry carbine, which gave off to some other troops, and then there were some conversions that were given to these troops over there, and then it was just a mess, a logistical mess. And the Italians were trying to adopt one single rifle in one single cartridge and caliber that they could give to pretty much everybody. You get a rifle, you get a rifle, you get a rifle, you get a rifle, and they are all going to be identical. So they ended up adopting a rifle that was a little bit longer, if I line these up, a little bit longer than the actual carbines, to try and achieve a little bit more velocity and a little bit more range for their standard infantry soldiers, as opposed to giving them all, you know, carbine length rifles. So it is a little bit longer, but it is nowhere near as long or as cumbersome as the Italian long rifles, the 1891 pattern that the infantry would originally have. Now, with these right here being a 30 caliber round, the rounds are also going to be much larger and much heavier than that original 6.5 cartridge. Now, why would you want something like that? Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be more effective against, you know, enemy infantry. The 6.5 round would serve adequately, plenty adequately, against enemy infantry. However, it's not just enemy infantry that they are facing now. The year is 1938, and mechanized soldiers, mechanized troops, mechanized units, that's the word I'm looking for, mechanized units are far more predominant on the battlefield. So soldiers are coming across trucks and tanks and vehicles and planes and just all sorts of things that the 6.5 round would not necessarily be all that great at taking out. So the Italians tried bumping up to a heavier round. Not only that, but whenever you bump up to a larger diameter round, you can fit more compound or more penetrating core, or more of some kind of substance inside of the core of that projectile whenever you send that round downrange, just because it has a bigger diameter. So as a result, you can have more mass of whatever it is that you want inside of that bullet. So on top of having everybody have this more powerful rifle that is also a smaller, kind of intermediate carbine style rifle, giving that to everybody and having everybody share the same kind of universal type of ammunition, the Italians also saw that most combat was taking place within like 300 yards, as opposed to what the old belief was, that combat was going to be taking place at far, far greater distances than that with the advent of smokeless powder. Well, that was not the case. Combat was taking place within like 300 yards. Most combat was taking place within like 100 yards. So what the Italians did was they dramatically simplified their rear sight on their rifles, and they literally just have it one fixed peg of a rear sight, one solid block of metal that was zeroed out. That's the word I'm looking for. That was zeroed out for 200 yards. So at that 200 yard mark, you hit right at point of aim. Any closer, you're going to hit a little bit higher. Any farther, you're going to hit a little bit lower. And you just kind of Kentucky windage engage where it is that your rifle will be hitting. And that was a dramatically simpler and easier to manufacture version of a sight in comparison to something like this right here, which takes a lot of time, effort, and measurement to get all of those variations of sights, all the graduations for elevation depending on distance. It takes time, effort, and a lot of measurement to be able to get all of those factors and add them into every in particular rifle sight. You don't have to deal with that with this right here. This is just one solid block that is zeroed out for 200 yards, and that right there was an adequate zeroing, according to the Italians, for zeroing their rifle that they were going to be giving out, because most combat was going to be taking place well within the parameters of that sight. So 1938, well, yeah, the Italians are like, hey, this is a great idea. Let's go ahead and implement this and give it to all of our forces. 1939 rolls around, and the Italians are like, Germany, what are you doing? Germany, no, we're not ready for this. We shouldn't be doing that at all. And Germany's like, I'm doing it. And the Italians are like, all right, well, World War II then. Let's get into it. And so the Italians went into World War II, and they were like, okay, well, we can still do this, I bet. And then they start getting their teeth absolutely kicked in, and they realize the logistical nightmare of trying to give out 7.35 Carcano rifles and 6.5 Carcano rifles, and they look outlandishly similar. They got the same action, they take the same clips, they even have the same bolt and whatnot, because the case heads are very, very similar. So some of these were able to chamber the round of the other. I think the 7.35 could chamber a 6.5 round, and it would just cause the case to rapidly expand and blow out, and it's not good. Sticking the wrong kind of ammunition inside of your rifle is not good. So logistically speaking, if you have a bunch of soldiers over here with this rifle, a bunch of soldiers over there with that rifle, and then you have about 100 other groups in 100 other places with all these different versions of all sorts of rifles, you got to pay attention to what ammo you have, where it's going, just from a logistical standpoint. Giving soldiers who have the same looking gun different kinds of ammo, it was just a nightmare. Ultimately, in 1940 or 1941, I think it was 1940, the Italians elected to go ahead and no longer rely on the 7.35 round. They figured they would go back to the 6.5 round for the entirety of World War II, and then after World War II, NATO becomes a thing, and 7.35 never catches on again, and that's a whole story for another video. So that's not much else that I can say about this rifle. Yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything. I don't think I have anything else to say. This particular one has a name engraved on the stock. It says Ivo, Evo, Avo, however that is pronounced. A-I-V-O, Avo. So that's cool to have. I just got some trench art from this guy right here who carved his name into the stock. We do have the remnants of some sort of military cartouche on this particular rifle. And besides that, this one is a finished capture. We do have an SA right there on the shank of the shank of the barrel right there. So I think that's pretty much everything that I could possibly even begin to cover with this thing. With the exception of maybe like going into some stories or some more niche things. But I think instead of doing that, we're just going to go ahead and send some lead down range. I don't want these videos to go too terribly long. So I got a couple of rounds of undercharged 7.35, but this right here is the same exact action as all the other Carcanos, complete with bolt and whatnot. The only difference is the chamber being chambered for 7.35, and of course the bore diameter of the barrel itself. So like I had said, this is a little undercharged ammo, so this is not going to be quite as powerful as it normally would. Of course, this right here is still going to be plenty potent whenever it goes down range. Yes, I definitely would not want to get hit by that. So there's our round right here. Oh no, I cracked the case. That's alright, I have fired these rounds quite a few times. Let's see if the clip drops out of this. I'm going to step over here so it lands in grass this time. Nope, the clip did not fall out of this thing. There we go, I got the clip out. Don't you worry, guys. Okay, we got ourselves another round of 735. Ah, I love the smell of gunpowder in the morning. Oh, I dropped my brass and it rolled and landed in the sand. Yeah, this one looks fine. Okay, I don't think I have anything else to add for this. I think I've covered basically everything with this rifle. Yeah, it's just depending on what, or because of what was going on during that time period. I'm willing to bet that these probably would have been more popular if World War II had held off for a couple of years, or if they started moving towards 735 a little bit sooner. But these Carcanos right here, most of them were given as a war aid to Finland, but of course a bunch of them did make it into Ethiopia. So yeah, the Italians decided not to use them and they just stuck with their 6.5s, which makes sense from a logistical standpoint. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Hopefully this did earn your subscription. If not, that's fine. I will have to try again tomorrow. All of this being said, I don't think I have anything else to say for this video, so I'm just going to say, hey, it's whiskey time. Sun's going down. It's hot out here. Mosquitoes are coming out. I can hear them buzzing. It just rained. I'll see you guys later. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.